If we imagine that this book has got 100 grammar topics, which 20 do you need to work on first? Flip to the contents page. What you don't want to do is start on page 1 and work all the way through the book. Hola mis queridos hispanohablantes, and welcome back for another video. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a powerful time-saving principle that, if you use it correctly and consistently, is going to save you more time than any one other thing that you can do while learning English. If, like a lot of English learners, you find that during your studies you seem to be doing all of the things, like you're constantly busy, but you never seem to make any progress, or you don't seem to be getting anywhere, then this video is for you. It's not only going to make you a more effective language learner, it's going to make you a more effective person in life. My name's Rob and I'm an English teacher from Hull, Yorkshire, which is in the northeast of England, and here on METR we're all about helping Spanish speaking English learners take their English from an intermediate up to an advanced level. So if that sounds like something for you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We've got more content coming all the time. Let's jump into it. So the first thing I want to talk about today is the problem itself, which is when we start learning anything new, it can seem a bit overwhelming. This happens all the time with English, because if you've got, say, an English exam coming up, or maybe you've just started learning English for the first time, probably not if you're watching this video, but anyway, if you've just started learning English, when you look at the sheer amount of materials that are available, it can be overwhelming. There's too much to take in. You've got 6 books, you've got X amount of series to watch, group classes to attend, one-to-one classes, and so on. How on earth can you take in all of this information? Of course, on top of that, maybe learning English isn't the only thing that we have to do in our day. We've also got our other responsibilities, right? I've got to go to work, I've got to take care of the kids, I've got to cook, I've got to hit the gym, and so on and so forth. How on earth am I going to fit English learning into all of that? Well, wouldn't it be great if there was some kind of rule, some kind of magical guiding principle that could help me to determine which of these things are the most important, so that I wasn't constantly wasting time doing things that aren't propelling me forward, right? What if I could get to my objectives much quicker by analysing what I'm doing and changing it in some way? This is where we get into what I really wanted to talk to you about today, which is the Pareto Principle. This is also known as the 80-20 rule sometimes. The Pareto Principle originated from an Italian economist called Pareto, surprise, surprise, who observed that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. Later on, a management consultant called Joseph Duran, he analysed this observation and realised that this division could be applied to many other situations in life. The 20% became to be known as the vital few. In other words, the people that were having the most impact on a particular area, and the useful many, the 80%. A typical example of how this would apply, and the one that's probably the most often mentioned, is if we take, say, a salesperson who has 10 customers. If that salesperson analyses how much he sells to those customers, he will likely find that he's got 2 customers that buy most of the product that he's selling. If that salesperson can focus most of his attention on those 2 customers, he is much more likely to be a successful business person. In other words, if that salesperson can find another bunch of customers like those 2, he's got the potential to massively increase his earnings. Of course, it's not saying that the other 80% of his customers aren't important, because they are. They're just not as important as those 2. So we take this principle and we apply it to other areas in life. We might be asking, what is the 20% that we should be focusing on in our daily activities, in our routine, or when we're working towards an objective? So if we take this principle of 80 and 20, the useful many and the vital few, and clarify it a little bit, the vital few are the activities that we can say are definitely going to take you towards your objectives, right? Because we know that they work. These are going to be things like working on what you know are your weaknesses. They are going to be reading carefully selected chapters of your book, or working on weaknesses that have been identified by your English teacher, for example. The useful many things are, as I've already said, they're still going to be useful things to do, but maybe they're not your priority right now. Yeah, these include the typical things like doing things in English that you like doing just for fun. This could be, well, I guess the typical one is watching movies, right? I hear this all the time. Well, you know, I'm watching lots of series and movies in English. I'm not saying don't do that. And if you're enjoying it, by all means continue. But don't try and fool yourself that when you're doing that, you're actually working on your English. You know, if you're trying to pass an exam and you're watching series or movies in English, are you really working on that exam? Another example of things that would fit into the 80% would be doing things that you're already good at. If you're working on some exam tasks, or maybe you're working on a particular grammar topic from your book, if you're already good at it, we'll give ourselves a pat on the back. Yeah, I did a good English today. If we actually don't need to review that topic at the moment, you know, if we're already good at it, we don't need to revise it. So why waste time on it, right? So if you find that you're spinning your wheels, you seem to be doing a lot and working quite hard, but you're not actually moving forward and getting better in your English, it's a good sign that you're probably spending way too much time on activities that fall within this 80%, the useful many. Things that keep you busy but aren't actually taking you towards your objectives. And we need to fix that. So I want to get into some examples now and explain how you can actually take this 80-20 principle and apply it directly to language learning. The first example is like if you've got a grammar book, right? I'm sure you've seen this one before. This is the typical one that most of my students have been using. If we imagine that this book has got 100 grammar topics, I think this one's got about 140 or something. Anyway, it's got 100 topics. Which 20 topics from those 100 do you need to work on first? Which are most likely to prove problematic for you? So the best and most easy way to do this is to just flip to the contents page and have a look at it. And you should be thinking things like, what topics do I already know that I'm confused about? You know, I mean, if you're honest with yourself, if you look at the contents page, you will be able to test your own comfort level when you look at the name of it. You go, oh, you know, I don't feel so good about the present perfect continuous, or I don't feel so good about conditionals, or whatever. You might also want to look at what grammar problems are problematic for speakers of your language. If they're typical problems that come up all the time on the exam that you're taking, the mistakes that the examiners constantly point out. You can also ask your English teacher for advice, and they will tell you where your grammatical mistakes fall at the moment, so that you can focus on those in your book. What you don't want to do is start on page 1 and work all the way through the book, because that's exactly what we're saying. 80% of the material in this book, you probably are either already good at it, or it's very similar to the structure in your own language, so it doesn't need as much study. What you're looking for are the problem areas. Another example of how this works in practice would be if you're studying for an English exam. If we imagine that the exam maybe has, say, 10 different types of question on the reading paper, it's likely that 2 question types out of the 10 are causing you more difficulty than the other 8 combined. Now, if you focus your attention on those 2 question types, you've got the potential to massively increase your score, or at the least increase your comfort level with the test. A third example would be kind of like what I mentioned before, which is where if you're doing lots and lots of different things to improve your English, make a list of them. So if you're taking group classes, you're taking one-to-one lessons, you're watching movies, you've got a stack of books on the table, make a list of everything that you're currently doing to learn English, and consider this. If I could only do 2 of those things on that list, which 2 do I think would have the biggest impact on my English learning? and then focus on those two. Remember that the point here is that our time is limited and we can't conceivably do everything all of the time. While there are probably many things on that list that we enjoy doing, if we've got an objective to reach or we've got a deadline to meet, be realistic about what is working and what is not. You've got to be completely honest with yourself. So I want to give you some points now that you can take away that are going to help you to put this method into practice. Now, first and foremost, it's super important that you have a clear objective in your mind of exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve. If you don't have a clear objective, you can't possibly organize your time and organize your activities to meet an objective. You can't hit a target that you can't see. So you've got to write down your objectives first. Once you've done that, the next thing that you want to do is break that objective down. You're going to write down all of the activities that you're currently doing and also all of the things that you could potentially do to improve your English in the direction of that objective. With that list, you can then analyze it and think, if I could only do a couple of things on that list or 20% of the things on that list, which ones do I need to focus on that are going to take me towards my objective? The biggest mistake that most people make is that they've maybe got that list, but they don't have a clear objective. They're keeping themselves busy, they're doing a lot of stuff, but they're not effective because they're not working on the things that actually matter. They just focus on doing stuff. They're doing some English, they're working on tasks in a random order, and they're not consciously thinking about, is this the best thing that I could be doing with my time right now? Is this the most important task that will take me towards passing my exam or towards reaching that high level of English? Something that can help out a lot with this and save you a lot of time is speak with an expert, speak with your teacher, book a one-to-one class with an English teacher and ask them, what are my biggest mistakes at the moment? I'm sure they'll be able to give you a list of 10, 20 things that you can work on right now to improve your English. And after that, go straight to work on them. Question of the day. Which of the activities that you're currently working on in your English learning are in your top 20%? After you've watched this video today, which activities are you going to focus on the most? I want to see your answers in the comments below this video. Here on METR, we're all about helping Spanish speakers reach an advanced level of English and stay there. If that sounds like something for you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. My name's Rob, thanks for watching, more content coming soon, I'll see you there.